lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello there. Welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other co-host, Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners. We have a little bit of business to take care of here before we jump into the issue, which will be issue number 18 of Werewolf by Night. But first of all, I just wanted to mention that we do have an email account, so if you want to send us mail, you can send us questions. We'll answer them on the air. You can give us feedback or tell us what we're doing wrong, or any kind of commentary you want to give us. We might read it on the air. And that is a really easy one to remember. It's werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. So that's easy. And of course, you can find us on Instagram at Werewolf by Night Podcast, separated by underscores, and Twitter at Werewolf Podcast. So, Jacob, when we were talking about issue number 16 with the Hunchback, we were making some jokes about his beret and how that was kind of the golden era of hijacking, and kind of made a joke about the SLA. That stands for Symbionese Liberation Army?
That's right.
So if you folks forgot this, I kind of forget it sometimes. It pops in my head, and it's a very strange little moment in American history. When William Randolph Hearst, he was a publishing magnate. He was the guy that the main character of Citizen Kane was based on. His daughter was kidnapped by these guys. Am I wrong?
Was it granddaughter?
Oh, granddaughter. Shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's William Randolph Hearst's granddaughter. I was going to say that doesn't really add up, does it?
Yeah.
No, sorry. So William Randolph Hearst's granddaughter was kidnapped by these hippie freak people, I guess you could say. And they held her, and then she joined them in their cause. And they had this phony cause called the Symbionese Liberation Army, when there is no country of Symbia. So that was weird. And so she robbed a bank with these people. It's a very strange story. Do you have anything to add to that, Jacob? I'm just doing obviously the high points there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the high point. I don't know if you remember, but this was... It was on an episode of Drunk History where Kristen Wiig played Patty Hearst. I don't know if you saw that.
No, but, the world's creepy now. So I think I did search SLA or Hearst, and it came up on my YouTube feed. But I didn't watch it.
Oh, it's pretty funny. But yeah, it's a very, very strange story. I'd love to actually just read a whole book on that. I've only read, articles and different things over the years, but I would like to know a little bit more about it.
I think I saw some serialized PBS thing, like American History, one of those shows where it's like an hour on it. It's pretty interesting. We were wondering, because that issue had a date on it that said April of 1974. And that is also when they robbed that bank, I believe, or when she was kidnapped, at least. I'm not sure how long that whole saga went on, but so we were wondering, could Friedrich be responsible for this? Could Plug? And then Jacob reminded me, Matt, the cover date of April doesn't mean the month it was published, right?
No, that's basically the pull date for periodical stands. When these things were actually on the stands that showed the person running it when to pull that issue because another issue was about to come. So yeah, the actual publication date is normally 3 months before the cover date.
Right. So I think we have definitive proof that since this predates the Hearst affair, that it probably influenced it. I mean, I don't need to talk to any historians or anything. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, no, I'm in full agreement.
Great. And correct me if I'm wrong. Back before Diamond, the distribution company, decided to destroy the entire industry by monopolizing it and doing it shittily, didn't it used to be the case that in the old days, they'd also go by those pull dates you said, and they go and say, here's April. They take it off. They tear the front cover off. throw the book in a box and they would send those all back to Marvel, and Marvel would give them some of or all of their money back, right? Wasn't that the old model?
Yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah,
or send the covers in, or I can't remember.
Yeah, they would send the covers in normally and get some kind of return rate on it. And that was pretty standard, for a long time. I'm not sure exactly how it is now because, publications aren't printed with as much frequency as they used to be.
Right. And that's part of why comics have gone away, in addition to several other things like technology becoming more readily advanced and more readily available and cheaper. But one of the reasons is like I would see comic books at Safeway or Fred Meyer, and I would see comic books at every 7-Eleven on a spinner rack. But that's because there was a low barrier of entry for the person who ran the business. Like it wasn't a risk. No. Now when people buy comics, it's usually a little shop that smells like BO, and people are scared to go in unless they go with somebody that knows comic book stuff because they don't want to be berated by someone like the Simpsons guy. And those places, when they buy a bunch of something, if they don't sell it, they're stuck with it. So the whole industry, in my opinion, got destroyed by Diamond and their practices.
You're not wrong. You're going to find a lot of people that'll agree with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't breaking news. I know some people aren't like in the geeky behind the scenes stuff. So, some people say it's fun learning stuff listening to our show that they had no idea how the comics industry worked, or at least stuff that old did. So I have to throw that in every once in a while. That's all.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Thanks. That it? Cool. Also, we had a submission in the Plug Plasma drink request from listener Ben McClure. He's a great guy. He's a great bartender in his spare time. And his suggestion was a blood orange whiskey sour with Angostura bitters dropped in circles essentially on the foam. And this is a true old school whiskey sour, so it has an egg white mixed in with it. So I'm going to, I made this tonight. It was delicious. It looks really cool. And I took some pictures of it, so I'm going to post those in our feed on Instagram and Twitter. And I will post his recipe so that you can try this at home. But I really like it. I was glad that, Ben has great taste in drinks and stuff. And he said, I had to weigh gimmicky, stuff versus like classic stuff. And you guys both seem like guys who like classic drinks. And so this was an obvious choice for me. So he went with something more old school and kind of pre-prohibition kind of whiskey sour recipe. And it's amazing.
Oh, it looks great. No, that sounds right up my alley. I'm really excited to try one.
We're here, folks, to talk about Werewolf by Night, issue 18, which has a pull date of June on it, by the way. So this cover is one of my pet ones that I really like because it has 2 werewolves on it. So that's a first in our series. So this one was drawn by Ron Wilson, I believe. Maybe layouts by Gil Kane. They don't know for sure.
Yeah, that was the tentative credits on GCD were layouts by Gil Kane, pencils by Ron Wilson, and inks by Frank Giacoia.
This is a great scene. I absolutely love this one. It is the top corner of a building in the city, and there is the Beast in his trademark green shredded trousers hanging on by his claws, essentially, on the very edge of the precipice at the top of this building. And lunging toward him and pushing him off is another werewolf in brown pants with purplish bluish kind of fur. He almost looks like when Beast from X-Men turned blue, but even more purplish than that. So they are fighting in front of a full moon, and in the little kind of ledge next to the rooftop is a woman, a blonde that looks, I'm assuming this is Sandy, maybe, or it doesn't matter because this is not representative of what happened in the comic, but
nope.
If they're suggesting something, it's girl. If we had to take a guess, I'd say Sandy. It's not Topaz, and it's not Lissa because Lissa doesn't have blonde hair. But
yeah,
there have been a couple of these where they kind of make it look like it's Lissa because she's been in the issue, but it's not. Anyway, I'm a fan of this one. I like the kind of tilted angle, and I like that they're just kind of ass over tea kettle, like just about to fall off of a high rise.
Yeah, I really, really love this cover. It's definitely one of my favorites. I wasn't as familiar right off the top of my head with Ron Wilson, so I read up on him a little bit. Like when he first came to Marvel in the early 70s, he was primarily a cover artist. So the first credit I could find for him was the cover of Supernatural Thrillers 4, that came out in June of 73, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde issue.
Those
Do you know that
reprints?
series?
No.
It's
Is it all
comic.
classics?
Yeah, it's comic adaptations of like classic horror stories like It and The Invisible Man. And like the first 5 issues are adaptations, and the rest of the series is the living mummy character that was created by Gerber
or whatever.
Yeah, Steve Gerber and Rich Buckler, I think, created that one together.
I think so.
Yeah, I was curious to read that series, but it's not on Marvel Unlimited.
Well, I will give you my Marvel Horror Lives Again Omnibus 1, and you can read all of that.
Okay, so it's in the first omnibus then of that.
Or maybe 2. I can't
Okay.
remember. Because I bought them both at the same time for my birthday.
Gotcha. Well, anyhow, Ron Wilson also drew a ton of covers for the British comic magazine, The Mighty World of Marvel. Like a lot of those covers he drew, which seemed really cool.
Or those repackages of our stuff into like bigger things that are more typical in England. So they...
Yeah, it's kind of like what Tim Tucker was talking about when we talked with him a while back. And just that they're in black and white,
Right.
And they're a little oversized. So that seemed to be his main gig for a while. And he went on to be the main artist on Marvel Team Up for a few years, and then drew quite a bit of the Thing solo title from the 80s.
Oh, I didn't know that. He did some Spider-Man stuff. I guess I'm just thinking of Team Up though.
Mostly Team Up. He did do some Spider-Man stuff, but the majority was in Team Up. And we're going to get another cover by Ron Wilson in Werewolf by Night issue 23.
I knew his name and I knew that I liked him, but I couldn't really place him outside of just kind of a vague Spider-Man vibe. Well, thanks for that. So the copy on the front says, they clash by night in a duel to the death, war of the werewolves. And for a guy like me, you're excited, even as a middle-aged man, because 2 monsters fighting each other is always cool.
It's always exciting. And this cover is just really, really great.
Yeah, it's tight, as the kids say.
They do say that.
It's lit.
So, okay, well, let's go on. So the opening page, let's see. The credits for this issue are Mike Friedrich as author, Don Perlin penciler, and there's a new name for this title, Mike Royer on inks. So I thought this was fun. Mike Royer was born in Lebanon, Oregon.
Yeah.
It's not too far from where we're at now. It's right outside of Salem, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he worked for Western Publishing during the 60s. He inked a lot of the Disney license comics, the Dell stuff. And then for Gold Key, he partnered with Russ Manning for Magnus Robot Fighter. Have you ever read that?
Yeah.
It's awesome. He also worked with Russ Manning on Tarzan, obviously. But cool thing is in the 70s, he inked a ton of Jack Kirby's DC work. Like the Forever People, Mr. Miracle. I think he did some work on the Demon. And then
big stuff.
Oh yeah, no, he's a real titan inking wise. As far as his work for Marvel, in 1974, he inked 3 Kazar issues and this issue of Werewolf by Night. And he came back to Marvel to work with Kirby again later in the decade on like the Eternals. He worked with Kirby on their adaptation of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Have you read those?
I got to get that. No, I've always wanted to read that.
They're really cool. And he also worked on Machine Man, Devil Dinosaur. I'm getting more into that later 70s Kirby Marvel stuff because it's bonkers, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm kind of warming to that. I wasn't super hot on it for a large part of my life, but it's warming.
Wait, who created Machine Man?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said that. Did
Kirby drew it. Yeah.
He drew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mike Royer left comics for the most part in 1979. He did design work for Disney. So he's quite a heavy hitter on inks this issue. It's pretty cool. And the art looks great.
He's still around?
I didn't check. I'm not sure.
All you care about is 70s.
Yeah, I do. I know.
Selfish.
It is. It's very selfish. So we have Linda Lessman on colors, letters by Tom Orzechowski, and as always, Roy Thomas is editing. So I loved this opening page. It's a pretty classic layout of three small panels over one large panel. And we see a woman walking in the moonlight. And the opening narration reads, "Mind flash."
That's like my only note for this page.
Oh, it's so funny. Okay, mind flash. The year is 1795 in a Transylvanian forest. Valeria Patchek is new to this land, and it frightens her, for crouched in the shadows waiting is a werewolf by night. And so the werewolf, jumps out at her, and he's wearing kind of familiar green trousers, which I thought was yeah.
They're not green in mine.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What are they in yours?
They're purple Baron's trousers.
Oh, that's crazy. So, okay, well, I'm glad when these things come up.
Yeah, royalty, right?
Yeah, well, because we find out, who this werewolf is. We know it's not Jack because it's 1795. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so this werewolf has jumped out at this woman wearing, on the digital version, green trousers. And the title is Murder by Moonlight. So
that's an interesting coloring choice they made when they went digital.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of cool because, spoiler for the next page, we realize this is Jack's descendant. Not descendant.
Ancestor?
Ancestor. Yes. So he, so I thought that was why they did that, to kind of, or maybe they're just like, oh, it's a werewolf, we have to give him green pants.
Yeah, I think it might have been a laziness.
But it works.
Yeah, no, I can see why it has value in the way that you did it. By the way, your opening copy you read there, that was a terrible Rod Serling.
Thank you.
Yes. It does seem like it should be Night Gallery, though, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so right off the bat here, looking at Perlin's pencils, which we've gotten familiar with the last couple issues, you really get a sense of how Mike Royer inks. What did you think of it, like the way he handles the lines?
I really liked it.
I love it.
Yeah, I like it. I don't want to disparage the guy, but I kind of liked it better than Perlin doing his own inks.
Yeah, I did too. It's much more delicate and fine, and it serves, like the fur looks great, and the way he inked that when the werewolf was jumping out at Valeria, that face is like so Ditko-y, and I like to think that Mike Royer did that on purpose.
Yeah, I would like to think that too.
Yeah, so this is interesting that this starts off this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the next page, we just kind of dive right into Universal monster territory here. Villagers with stakes and torches are charging after him, and he's running away from the humans. They hunt me. They hate me. If you haven't figured out, he has murdered this girl. She is dead. He thinks they would kill me as I kill this woman. I must hide. And he runs off, and then he hides, like in Fellowship of the Ring, when the hobbits first start out and they're hiding from the Nazgul, and they hide under that little ledge on that path. Yep. That's exactly where he hides. But it's villagers saying, the werewolf's tracks end here, but he has disappeared. And the last panel on this page is this really great, it's not intentionally folksy or anything, but it's like this really great portrait of these, not medieval, what era is this, 1700s? But, like they've got crappy rundown hats on and sad little mustaches and beards, and they look all tired as the sun's rising after hunting after this monster all night. It's like some kind of folk gothic thing. But it says, aye, and with the sun arising, he must be human again. But by God's grace, we will find the fiend some other night and destroy him. And this is all as the sun's rising and its rays are reaching out beyond.
No, you're right. It's really cool and really, really folksy. So the next page, the text reads, "Fiend, fiend, fiend. The werewolf understands these words, for the sun's rays do change him into a man who reviles himself almost as much as his tormentors do." So we get a nice series of transformation panels with a fluffy little bunny watching him, which I thought was awesome. It's funny. Ever since the Krog issue, I'm kind of nervous around rabbits in this comic. I'm like, Jack, look out, the rabbit's Krog. Did you have that thought?
I thought it was a weird callback. I didn't feel concerned it was a demon, but I thought it might be a weird callback.
Yeah,
and I couldn't see why they would do that.
Yeah. This man is transformed back into human. He says, little rabbit, are you not afraid? Or does your innocence recognize when evil has gone? But you are wrong, pure one. The evil remains locked inside me to be released anew when the next full moon comes. There she says, thus spoke Baron Rusoff. I know because I've read his torment-filled diary. His words had a special meaning to me, for I, Jack Russell, am the Baron's descendant and also a werewolf. So yeah, it's a weird little preamble we got on this one.
And his pants are green throughout this entire episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird. Baron Rusoff is wearing green pants through this whole thing. So I thought it was just a Russell thing. I thought it was like a familiar tradition or something.
I know. It seems like family coat of arms, but coat of pants.
Ripped green
pant of arms.
Yeah, so it was a strange little little beginning to this issue. But after this, then we kind of jump back to Jack's apartment to the moment when Lieutenant Lou Hackett showed up at the doorstep asking about werewolves. And he says, Jack says, won't you come in, Lieutenant? And I like that he walks into like the totally destroyed still apartment, saying like, quite a mess, huh? We heard reports that a behemoth was on the rampage here last night. That's very specific.
And I love that there's the behemoth's hand in the foreground.
Yeah.
With broken glass.
Yeah.
I'm with you as far as this opening here. I thought it was cool, and it was a nice little kind of gothic callback to classic werewolf stuff, but I didn't see why it was here because, I mean, it says Mind Flash, so this is like the moment Lieutenant Hackett says, there's a werewolf here, and he goes, and then his mind leaps to this thing, which is, whatever, dramatically speaking, doesn't make that much sense. But then, as a function of the storytelling, we just got this stuff basically 2 issues ago, in the Dracula thing. So it seems a little early to be jumping back and telling us, that's like telling us about Peter's parents dying, like 2 issues after he told you his parents died. It just felt weird to me.
It's a little weird. Yeah, I mean, it was unexpected to have this strange little interlude at the beginning of the issue, but I'm okay with it.
Okay, I'm okay with it too. I thought it was well done. I just didn't understand what was happening. But don't worry, that's going to stick around for quite a while in this issue. Lieutenant Hackett's in his apartment, and he's kneeling down. He's looking at that behemoth hand, and there's another knock on the door. And he opens it up, and a Mad Magazine version of a cleaning lady is there. She has like John Lennon granny glasses on. She's got a kerchief tied up around her head like, little British ladies do. And she says, hey, I'm the cleaning lady. He's like, oh, Sandy, our apartment manager must have sent you. Come on in. So she says, hey, a wild party here, huh? It's like, yeah, that kind of seems to be the tradition in these swinging singles apartments. And he says, in fact, one of the guests even left a trick clay hand. And he thinks, is Hackett buying any of this corny story? So in the background, the cleaning lady's brought in her vacuum cleaner and she set her bag down. And meanwhile, the cop is saying, there have been a number of mysterious events around here. And Jack thinks, uh-oh. Sounds like Hackett does suspect. Tonight's another full moon, and maybe he's trying to hold me here until I change, which would be a great plan if he did suspect that Jack was a werewolf. Just hold him or grill him until sundown, right? And Hackett continues, most recently, eyewitnesses claimed a werewolf battled the Mad Hangman. And Roy says, that was back in 11 and 12, by the way, guys. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that was like the last time that the public saw him, because he fought Taboo in a private mosque, and then they went to Europe. So he hasn't been visible, has he?
No, not at all.
So as this conversation between Jack and Hackett's going on, in the foreground, the little old lady's reaching into her purse and pulling out something with a wooden handle. And in the next panel, Hackett continues. In fact, every month lately, there's been some kind of similar report, which brings me to you. And he's starting to continue, and behind him, this woman is standing there with a giant axe, ready to hack it. No pun intended. And Jack's thinking, uh-oh, with Hackett. He's like, here it comes. He's like, huh? Good Lord, the cleaning lady, swinging an axe straight at Hackett's skull.
Yeah, this was, I did not expect this to happen. I didn't expect this character to just come out of nowhere. I'm really hoping she shows up a lot.
Yeah, she has a listing. in Marvel like Wikipedia pages, so she has more than one appearance.
Oh, good.
And but it's the left field, right? I mean,
yeah.
Even though the last issue ended with the little box that said "Next Ma Mayhem," didn't expect this.
No, I did not expect this. And so, on the next page, so Jack grabs Hackett and throws him to the ground, where Lou whacks his head on. It's a really sturdy-looking vacuum cleaner
By Gruber.
By Gruber, yeah. I thought that was really awesome. And so, Lou is out. Then the evil cleaning lady, she says, the copper's knocked out. Just as well, since the committee sent me to fetch you, son. We needn't remain formal, son. Just call me Ma. Ma Mayhem. Yeah, and at this point, and I love that she, like, takes the kerchief off her head, like that was her disguise. She's just like, no, this is my true form of Ma Mayhem. And so Jack asks her, but what do you want with me? And she says, actually, son, it's not really you I want, or I'd have struck earlier. No, I was waiting for the full moon to rise, for it will bring the werewolf. Then we get a single panel transformation that is okay.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's serviceable.
Tight.
Yeah, it's not my fave, but it kind of demonstrates that economy of storytelling that we talked about last issue. Mm-hmm. That might just be a pattern in the Perlin Friedrich era. And so, the bottom panel reads, Second Night. An old female stood before me. Death seemed to gleam from her silver axe, and death was reflected in her eye. I snarled and prepared to attack. So, I did not expect a werewolf, psychotic old lady fight to go down in this issue.
No. Art-wise, I did like the panel before Jack changes as she's kind of ranting at him about what she's doing and brandishing her silver axe. Jack is staring at her from the broken window, and he's all mostly in shadow with some red highlights around him. I really like that panel, that art.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This last panel, where they're kind of bearing down and facing off against each other, this might be a first, correct me if I'm wrong, that Jack has kept his shirt on through a transformation. I think it's the first. I mean, we can go back and double check, but we have interns for that. But
that's true. We'll get them on it. But I think this is the first time.
And he manages to keep it on for quite a bit of this escapade here. So I thought that was weird.
It is another unexpected thing.
You want some more unexpected stuff? Turn the page. Yeah. So then we cut back to the committee headquarters. The behemoth is there getting fixed, repaired from when it fought the beast unsuccessfully and was called back. And the Baron's talking about, we're rebuilding this, but I sent out Ma Mayhem, so she's taking care of him right now, probably won't even need the behemoth. And then this Asian guy comes up behind the Baron and is taking his cape off, and he says, that little old lady, boss? And Baron says, Lawrence Tong, that lady is California's most powerful witch. She will succeed. We have other concerns. And while this is happening, he, his cape was taken off, and he's taken off his tuxedo jacket, his bow tie, his frilly tuck shirt with his suspenders and his cummerbund, and he is now shirtless in his tuxedo pants, holding on to a steel girder and bending it like fucking saltwater taffy in front of him around his sides, like a belt. Because so they're trying to make him like Wilson Fisk, right? Like, I'm not just a fat guy. I'm also super crazy strong.
Yeah, but again, I didn't expect a training sequence to be thrown into the middle of this, like a training montage.
No, and as he's bending the girder, he says, my training, to be precise, I can bend this steel girder in seconds. Show me what you have learned, Tong. And then Tong karate chops a bunch of 2x4s in half and says, the streets of San Francisco taught me a lot, boss. And please, call me Larry. Very well, Larry. Pitch your strength against me now. And Larry punches him as hard as he can in the midsection. You're built like a rock. Why do you need this werewolf so much? That, Larry, is only my business. Okay, my head was spinning. Then we cut back to Jack's apartment in Colden House. He's got his arms raised up, and he's roaring at Mayhem. She's crouched down with her axe. And then she reaches into a bag and pulls out another weapon, a handful of silver dust, and blows it into Jack's face, which chokes him because it's silver and it's harmful to him. So it's choking him, and his lungs are burning, and he's coughing in a cloud of silver. Okay, We have a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, there's so much.
Okay, so we've learned that Ma Mayhem is California, in Marvel of 1974, is California's most powerful witch. That's something.
Yeah.
Noteworthy, I think. I just felt like introducing Lawrence Tong, saying, hey, call me Larry. You don't do that unless you intend someone to hang around.
No.
I learned a lot in San Francisco. He's karate chopping. This was the mid of the Kung Fu craze. I'm trying to think. 72, feels like 72, 74, 75. So I've really got the sense they were building this dude up. This guy's going to be a character. Larry Tong is obviously, he might even have spinoff potential for all we know.
Yeah, there's a ton of character development they are shoving into like 4 panels.
That was a trip, and I did not, like you said, I did not expect him to disrobe and start training with this guy. So I was amused. I have to admit, I was tickled.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first time that Jack has been attacked with silver? Actually been hit or attacked with something silver. By the way, I think this blowing a silver dust into a werewolf's face and lungs is genius.
It is. It surely is. Yeah, this, again, Friedrich just tends to have these kind of breakneck, like, he's got his cards real close to his chest. And he's got a bunch of jokers.
Yeah, the pace is so insane. But it's also just piling one insane thing after another. But yeah, doing it at this speed it's really entertaining. Even if you're just like, what the fuck? Like most of the pages, it's really entertaining.
Yeah. In a modern comic, he'd still be talking to Hackett at the front door.
Yeah, he really would.
That would be a trade. 6 issues.
So we get even more information on the next page. So on this next page, Ma Mayhem reveals that Baron Thunder promised her the beast's ears that she needs for this spell she was going to cast. And she says, a pity you must lose your head in the process. The Baron will be disappointed since he wants your blood. Okay, but what I love is that he's coughing out the dust finally, and then she's got the axe raised about to have it come down on him, and he just rolls into her.
Steamroller!
He basically just does a steamroller, and it totally works. Yeah. Knocks Ma Mayhem. So her axe gets broken in the brawl. But she has more weapons, more weird weapons to take out. And so she takes out a magical silver whip, and she starts to whip the beast. And there's these strange little circles around the whip. What did you take those to be? I
thought that, she says it's magical.
It's magical.
So when I first was skimming through it, the first read, I thought that it was just light reflecting off of the silver. But then when I read it the second time, I thought, it's magical. So it's like Kirby Crackle or some, energy that's like emanating from it, a way to depict that visually.
Yeah, that's what I got from it. And so, yeah, she just starts whipping Jack with this thing. It says, and it is silver, which hurts you, Wolfie? So, yeah, Jack is kind of just getting his ass handed to him by this old woman.
Still with a shirt on, in tatters, but on.
Yeah, you're right. That's
basically
so
looks
weird.
like Larry the Cable Guy. Like the sleeves are gone. The buttons are torn out, but he's got a shirt on.
Oh, man.
And his pants aren't even really tattered. This is a whole new beast. He might have a monocle by the next issue, for all we know.
Yeah, no, this is weird. But it's funny. Werewolves with full outfits on just tickle me to death. Like I keep finding them like for our posts, like our future posts on Werewolf Wednesdays. Like that Bill Everett story where the wolf has like a hat and like a jacket and all this stuff.
Cute.
He's so cute. I love little outfits for my werewolf.
In case you aren't reading along with us at home, I kind of described Ma Mayhem a little bit, but I want to continue and go into wardrobe because this is really, you can't really picture this person trying to bring an axe down on a cop's head or blowing silver dust into a werewolf's face unless you realize that she has a green cardigan on. And she has a red dress with polka dots on it and a little white collar. And she has like granny, like Benny Hill granny pantyhose on. And then big like English like lady, like, poor English lady, like Monty Python as a woman, like big heavy shoes
Yeah.
Like that you got from the National Health, whatever. These are my prescription shoes.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to figure out how her voice would sound this whole time. I kept trying to, do like a little Aunt May fragile voice, and it just felt so weird as contrasting with like what she's doing.
No, that's funny. I couldn't figure out how she should sound either. Like she's a mystery to me.
Yeah. So on the next page, the beast has been whipped by the silver whip and it's hurt. And so she says, so you cower in fear of me. I like that. But it won't help you, Wolfie, for this is only the beginning. And she starts whipping him again, whipping him. She's like, I'm going to make you crawl back to the committee as old Mom Mayhem's pet. And the beast hears that and he's like, pet. She means cage. I will not be caged. I must be free to run through the forest. Boop. Drink.
All right. Time to drink.
Yep. That's delicious. Ooh. Okay. A bigger sip than I intended there. Okay, so he doesn't want to be caged. He wants to go to the forest, so he says, I must stop her. He jumps up on top of his sofa and lunges toward her, thinking, I must kill, and growling as she readies the whip to whip him again.
Yeah, that last panel there is so cool with the beast is all in red, it's this blue background. He's going, I must kill. And it's just, it's so awesome. I'm definitely going to put that in the feed. That was one of my favorite panels of the whole issue.
Yeah, I didn't notice how much I liked it till just now, but yes, I do like that one quite a bit. So it gets weirder. Jacob, want to take this one?
Yeah, it gets much weirder. So as we said, the beast is being silver whipped by Mom Mayhem and keeps slamming against the wall. And it's a wall which we quickly realize is shared with one Raymond Coker. So we see Raymond in his typical environment of sitting amidst candles and incense, doing some magical shit, when the beast just crashes through the wall, slamming into Coker, who says, "You fool, you've destroyed my spell. It can never be restored." And then Raymond just seems to kind of just bolt out of the room, which I thought was pretty funny. Mom Mayhem is coming through the wall, like whip in hand. She starts whipping at the beast again. But then on that last panel, the beast and Mom Mayhem like kind of turn to look at something terrifying. Mom Mayhem's like, "Morning glory."
It reminded me of like the end of Blazing Saddles. Like it's just like the ending of the movie coming through a set. Like
yeah.
they break through these shitty apartment walls and completely oblivious to Coker just keep fighting as he runs off. Jack still has tatters of a shirt on, by the way. I'm obsessed with this at this point.
Yeah, you are. You're really tracking that shirt through this issue.
But his pants are getting tattered.
They are definitely getting tattered. And his shirt is barely there anymore. That's just like a real tattered piece of it left. So it's almost
like a bandolier.
Gone. Yeah, it is.
Right. So they both turn and look at a big, beautiful 2-page spread that is the werewolf from the cover in the blue fur with red eyes, charging from the windows towards the inner part of the room where the beast is. And oddly enough, he's yelling. He's talking in English. He says, "You have violated my sanctuary. You must then die." And he growls. The beast growls. They're running towards each other, claws raised, fangs bared. And Ma Mayhem thinks, "Gracious, this second one even talks. Who is he? I'm not prepared for this. Baron Thunder had best be informed. In other words, I'm leaving."
I mean, it's the wisest move at this point for sure. But yeah, that really made me laugh.
Yeah. So the cop, Jack's inner mind, describes him as a black pelted figure. So yeah, he's depicted as being bluish and he's got yellowish pants on. But Coker on the previous page was sitting in the lotus position on a painted symbol with candles and incense burning. And he was wearing a purplish sarong. So I'm not sure what that means, that the werewolf has yellow pants on. Does he have werewolf pants?
Yeah, he might have special werewolf pants that he went and changed into.
We're not spoiling anything, right? I think everybody's figured out. The one thing that I thought was hilarious from that last page, though, is like the beast is getting whipped. You cut into the interior of Raymond Coker's apartment. He's in the lotus position meditating, and you see these alliterative like swam, fuck, boom. It's like my one note was like, Yeah, Coker doesn't put up with any of this fucking noise from anybody. Like,
No.
He tried to punch Jack last week because he asked him if he knew anything about werewolves.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's not
you'd
putting
think
up with
that
any
he
of
would.
this.
No, you'd think he would have been up in arms at the first like big thud against his wall. But no, he was almost ready with this ritual, with the spell. He had almost finished it, and then a werewolf got hurled through his apartment.
Is this the 4th episode in a row that we've referenced the Kool-Aid Man? Because that was definitely a Kool-Aid Man entrance into his apartment. It started at Orly Airport. As the Kool-Aid Man's out of there to the class. And it just continues. I love it.
Yeah, it does. No, from that last Plug issue into all of the Friedrich issues. So yeah, I love it. No, that 2-page spread is so cool. It's definitely, good enough for a pinup. It'll definitely be up in the feed.
So how do they handle that in digital? Is it an unbroken line in the center where the pages meet?
No, in Marvel Unlimited, it's just 1 page with those 2 combined with no line in the middle.
Oh, there's no line. Okay, good.
No.
Because I saw one where on the other issues, double-page spread, that seemed like it had a line. It wasn't. They didn't just do the extra work of kind of splicing and bringing them together, which I thought was weird.
No, they definitely did the work on this one, and it looks really, really nice. The first panel on this next page is one of my favorites of the whole issue. It's of the 2 werewolves locked in battle, and we get some pretty interesting narration as well. It reads, "My rather intellectual sister Lissa would later call this clash a conflict of the territorial imperative. That is, each of us had invaded the other's private space and had to be driven out again. But now my wolf self only knew it was a savage struggle of life and death. First off, go Lissa."
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely paying attention in school.
Yep.
And
good kid.
Yeah, I thought this panel is so cool. It's so dynamic and exciting with like the simple orange colored background. And I thought it was cool that when I sent you a picture of this page, you said that the coloring was so different from the actual print version.
Yeah, the print version is very much dull, the old four color process. The digital one, a lot of times I have issues with recoloring stuff, like in the EC comics when they I think they went a little overboard on those and they put gradients sometimes and that didn't exist in the originals. But I think what they're doing with everything that I've seen you share, I think is an upgrade. Everything just pops. Everything's more vibrant and just glows and vibrates. I love it.
I do too. I think whoever's doing it is doing a really, really great job.
And that panel, as you mentioned, of them clashing with that brilliant orange explosion of dynamic energy is so fucking cool. This whole page is so dynamic. Their battle, you can tell how like furious it is.
Yeah, it really translated well. Like you really felt the movement and the action in these panels. Like in the next panel, so there's these 3 at the bottom. The next panel, Jack seems to have the upper hand until Raymond pushes him through the glass door and they both fall. Like these bottom 3 panels are so well done. And I love so on that final 3rd panel, they're falling off of the ledge. And there's a bystander below that's like, "Maria, look, a fight's going on at that party." Maybe just wonder like how much of this is just normal for Colden House.
Yeah, but it's like rich kids, so they just kind of pay a little extra to have it swept under the rug.
Yeah, they do.
Again, speaking of the ferocity of this fight, like you said in that first of the bottom panels, their claws are on each other's heads, and they're just, Jack's the beast's hand is in Coker's mouth, like they're just savage, and they break through his sliding glass door, and they have so much momentum going that they fall over his ledge out of the building. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite pages of the whole issue. This is why the comics medium is so amazing, because things like this page can happen, and it can convey so much.
Yep. And sadly, as they fall over the edge, I think that is the end of Jack's shirt. He had one shred as they were going over through the glass and over the balcony. But on the next page, they land on the top of a squad car, a la Die Hard. And I was hoping for a second when I first saw that, I was like, oh, please be Hackett's car. Because I just, you want to fuck with Hackett.
Yeah.
But And the second I thought that, the next panel shows Hackett woozily waking up from Jack's apartment and saying, "Why'd Russell nail me like that? Is he hiding something? Hey, what's that noise outside?" And he runs out of Jack's balcony and sees the werewolves completely unfazed by falling 3 stories on top of a police car, continuing to fight savagely, growling and slashing and bitch slapping each other on top of a cop car, while the 2 cops inside look up and are like, "What's happening on our roof, Gil? Dancing elephants, Perry. Geez, how am I supposed to know? Let's get out and check." And that says, sorry, go ahead.
I read those guys like the 2 guys from Adam 12.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to imagine them like.
I was picturing they were more like the 2 actors that Ed Wood always used in like everything that played cops all the time. Those 2 schmucky dudes that were the comic relief and everything.
Oh, those guys are great.
You know, to relieve the tension from all the Ed Wood plots. Yeah, but so before they even have a chance to get out and check out what the hell is going on the top of their car, Hackett has pulled a gun out and he's pointing it at the 2 beasts fighting. He's saying, "Packed silver bullets just for this chance, but my head's still groggy. Can't get proper aim." And he fires 2 shots, and they both ricochet off the top of the cop car. Missed. And although I could not know the bullets were silver, they frightened me, and so I fled with my raging foe hounding on my heels. These guys are not stopping for shit. They're surrounded by people who are pointing and screaming, yelling shit. They just damage themselves falling off of a building. They don't care. They are just continuing this battle. I love it.
Yeah, my God, this issue is just so cool. And yeah, Hackett has no problem just firing directly into the roof of a cop car.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, wow. On our very first panel on the next page, it reads, "I saw the wilderness like Griffith Park ahead of me. It was like the forest there." So,
that
drink
counts.
again.
Yep.
"And no one would stop my reaching it, not even my sister Lissa." So we realize that Lissa has just shown up to check on Jack and instead instantly sees the beast, who runs past her, actually knocking her down. So like you were saying earlier, the ferocity of these 2, the Jack mind is totally subdued, and the beast mind is just fully focused on fighting with Raymond Coker. And so, Mom Mayhem is listening. And here's Lissa say, "Listen to me, Jack, come back. This is your sister, Jack, come back."
I did laugh there.
Yeah, I was like, sis, come on.
You typically don't name the transforming monster, by the way. You don't reveal their identity in public, but I get it. She's 17 and a half.
Yeah, that's right. She had her half birthday. Don't take that away from her.
I won't. Never.
So Ma Mayhem is thinking, "Sister, she looks young. Maybe she's not old enough to be a werewolf, but she might be soon. Perhaps old Ma comes out ahead after all." And she leans down to help Lissa up, says, "Here, young lady, Ma will take care of you." And she's thinking, the sleeping gas should do the trick. And so she, gives Lissa some sleeping gas, and she's like, "Ma'am, I'm okay." And then Ma Mayhem pushes her into a car and takes her out of there. So, the final...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's finish this page. Jesus.
It's so great. So the final panel narration says, "I had reached the grass outskirts of the park when I turned again to face my foe, only to see we still had a common opponent, the police." So there's just a lot packed on every page, story-wise, action-wise. I really think that if I had read this as a 10-year-old kid, my mind would be fucking blown.
First of all, sleeping gas. It's like in a pill bottle. So it's basically the opposite of what are those salts called?
Smelling salts.
Smelling salts.
Yeah.
It's literally the opposite of smelling salts. If those exist, that's awesome. How did she pick up Lissa? She's like 85.
She's a very powerful witch.
Yeah,
California's most powerful witch, if you remember.
No, I read last year's issue of Top 5 Powerful California Witches. This is just bananas. And I love that Lissa says, "Jack, I came by to see if you'd gotten away before the change." Oh, as he shoulder checks her.
He just rams into her. Oh man!
Good.
What did you think of the illustration of the two werewolves at the bottom? It looked a little off to me.
It felt a little off model.
Yeah, just their bulbous heads.
Yeah, they kind of had alien like Mars Attacks kind of heads going on a little bit there, and Coker looks more like a panther than a wolfman at this point.
Yeah,
in that panel.
Yeah, well, I get it now. I didn't before, but I can understand why people have a problem with Perlin's, the way he does the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I did notice it being a lot more feline.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's Perlin just saying, how do we make this inhuman? But inadvertently referencing another animal, which kind of creates cognitive dissonance to me. Like, I don't know. I mean, like when you look at a picture of a wolf, I mean, they have those big haunting, big eyes that are round. So it's like, when you lose that, it kind of feels weird to me.
It is. No, this was the only depiction of the beast in this issue to where I was just like, not my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, so in the forefront of those cops is Lieutenant Hackett, and he's got his gun pulled, and he's charging them. He says, I see them in the shadows. They're mine. Meanwhile, this crowd of just onlookers has kind of gathered around. This guy's like, hey, that fuzz is going to shoot those guys just for brawling. So apparently these dudes are not into that at all. It's like, we got to break through the police lines and stop him. And these two guys jump on the back of Hackett. And as he's falling to the ground, his gun goes off again. He's like, you don't understand. So this middle panel that goes across the entire page is batshit. It says, no, the crowd didn't understand. The darkness hid our true identities. But to us, cop and commoner were all alike. And now they knew, only it was too late. So in this panel is this battle royale of the two werewolves just backhanding and slashing at cops and hippies and hipsters and douchebags and women. People are just falling on their ass. It's just mayhem.
Yeah, they're just kicking the shit out of everyone in that panel.
So after that melee ends, we cut to Hackett and all the onlookers kind of dazed and confused and, unconscious, whatever, on the ground. It says, the threat stilled and quickly forgotten, we loped deep into the park, and we turned once more to battle. So they literally just get far enough away to continue fighting. And Coker says, now, Interloper, you die, as he grabs onto the beast's neck. And Jacob, before we switch on to the next page, I just want you to know that there is an ad here for Crazy, and it's the one with Shaft in it that we talked about. The Shaft, what was it called? Shaft Dead?
It's called Shafted, yeah.
Yeah, really clever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want you to know that ad came up this month.
Oh, no. I'm still just going to pretend that Plug's crazy stories don't exist.
Yeah, good.
That's the world I want to be in.
Did he draw that Shaft one?
Yeah.
Oh, I can see it from this little tiny miniature of the cover. Okay.
Yeah, I know. So the beast has reached the forest, which seems to give him incredible strength, which I loved. So he thinks, I have reached the forest. I can hunt now without man to stop me. I can't now let my Blackford brother stop me. I must kill him. And again, like maybe in that panel there, I wasn't crazy about the beast's face. It seems a little weird, not quite cut and paste, but just a little strange.
A little more Chaka.
Yeah, definitely more Chaka.
Mm-hmm.
But the narration, he thinks back, brother, my thoughts of kinship surprised me. Perhaps we were brothers under the fur, but I was alone. I wouldn't let myself have a brother. He was a rival, no more. And so I attacked him repeatedly. And I love this. It says, for hours we must have fought, and I was the stronger. Slowly I gained the advantage and pressed in for the kill so they're like falling down a hill fighting in this panel. So they have been at this for hours.
Yeah. It's like Looney Tunes when it's just a cloud of,
it is.
fighting stuff.
Like stars and dust and different things. And so they've just been fighting at full force for hours and hours. Then we see Raymond Coker is thinking, daylight, the morning comes. I cannot be seen as a human. Then he says to the beast, "You are more powerful than I, intruder." Yeah, this page. Jack looks pretty. The beast looks pretty ripped in that first panel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, I mean, would you call a lot of this dynamic kind of action? I mean, some of this was kind of Ditko-esque to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just it had that weird kind of energy and angles to it, a little bit more than a lot of the art on this has done.
Yeah, and this felt like the fighting action of this issue just felt like kaiju, like Godzilla, King Kong level. Like everything felt really big and really substantial. And I love in that second panel on this page when you see the beast and he's kind of leaping towards the camera, essentially, like with his claws bared, and you get some perspective on there as he's leaping out towards Coker. That's great.
No, it is, and yeah, kaiju is the perfect energy. Like this isn't a fight between the Hulk and the Thing. Like no, this is a totally different, very exciting, very wild, two werewolves fighting.
And I like that, in that panel where he's leaping, like I just described, there's that red background beyond the trees that just kind of indicates that dawn's coming. And then you get some more detail in the next panel that's showing the softening light, and it's getting even lighter out. And as Coker's realizing he has to go. And I thought it was interesting that he says, "You are more powerful than I, intruder," because we've made a lot of hay out of like Jack being underpowered for most of his encounters and conflicts with people. But he continues on the next page. It says, "But I have more agility and more cunning, like so." And he kicks his back legs up and throws the beast via judo into a giant boulder. And he goes, "Clud." So we're drinking because judo.
Wow, there's a lot of drinking in this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, so the beast goes ass over tea kettle. His back and head hit a giant boulder. So he's out for the count, at least for a minute. Coker stands up, says, "The sun rises. I must flee to protect my identity. But know this, tomorrow night I will stalk you and I will slay you." And the beast is thinking, he's got the little cuckoo stars above his head. And he's like, "Black one runs. He is afraid. I must chase. I must kill." As he's turning back into Jack, he's also passing out from the concussion he probably has.
Yeah.
And then Jack wakes up. And the bloodlust has left him, and he's returned to his normalcy and stuff. And he's like, but he's still curious. He's like, "Another werewolf. Whew, I wonder who he is." Anyway, I've got to get home. And I was thinking, Jack's been a pretty smart dude so far in this.
Yeah.
That seemed like a really bad. That was a writing mistake, in my opinion. Because the beast, he has almost complete recall. So if Jack wakes up in the morning like a drunk who doesn't black out and says, "Oh shit," then we flew through Coker's apartment, and then he ran the next room, and then a werewolf ran out. I wonder who that werewolf is. Like, that's not doing him a service as a character.
No, it's not. And yeah, Jack is sharp enough that he definitely would have been able to put that together.
Yeah. One of my gripes with the writing this issue. Yeah,
that was one of mine as well. But I haven't found a lot of fault with how Friedrich plots these stories, because they're a breakneck speed and they're a ton of fun.
And bananas.
Yeah. So on our final page, Jack hitches a ride from a truck driver who weirdly complains. I thought this was strange. Like, so Jack has flagged down this truck and is like, "Oh, I'm just going a few miles." And the truck driver's like, "Sure, if this rig's gas holds out. Appears some jerk siphoned me dry at a truck stop up on the Grapevine."
It seems like a long way to go for Jack to explain later, like, "Oh, and he was so concerned about that, he didn't want to know why I had shredded pants and no shirt on."
Yeah,
That's weird.
It's a weird thing. There's been weird little narrative things in this issue that, I mean, it's like they're setting up for something else, but we're never going to hear about this driver again.
Yeah. I mean, I know. I read that twice. Like, is he really just telling us that to explain why he didn't care that Jack didn't have a shirt on? Because it's 1974.
Yeah.
Like, I know a little bit about the early 70s. From Manson up until here, the truck driver is not surprised a dude in Southern California is standing on the side of the highway in shredded jeans, a 19-year-old dude raising his thumb up, going, "Hey, can you get me right into L.A.?"
Yeah, no, this is not an unusual occurrence by any means at this point in history. So
yeah, he's like, I know you're not seeing the doors because Morrison just OD'd.
Yeah, it's so funny. But what made me laugh even more is that Jack gets home. He's opening his door. He's saying, good, I got in without anyone seeing me. Maybe it's an omen. Maybe my third night won't be as bad as my first two. And so he closes his door and looks, and on the inside of his door is a note that is pinned to it with like a dagger that has a really familiar logo on the hilt. And the note, he takes the note out and says, good Lord, it's from the committee. They've kidnapped Lissa, and they're demanding I surrender myself to save her life. He kind of like squishes the note in his hand, is holding the dagger in the other hand, and he says, this time they pushed me too far. This is the last time they strike at me. This time I'm fighting back. I swear it. And so, yeah, the hilt of this dagger has the logo of Baron Thunder on it. It's a very fancy dagger.
Yeah. And if you recall from last issue, it was kind of like a panther head meets a skull head with like horn ears and eyes, white eyes.
Yeah, you were right. It's like the Black Panther symbol, but with horns.
Yeah.
But, there's a super cool panel at the bottom there, which is basically like Human Jack facing off with Werewolf Jack, with Baron Thunder's logo in the middle, like in this very dramatic fashion. And the bottom reads, but there's still this month's third night yet to come, and who knows how my werewolf self will once again foul up my life. At the bottom there, it says Hollywood Vampires on the Loose.
So I had a pin up in the middle of my issue that we didn't talk about, but we thought we'd dance back to. Should we do that now and then talk about final thoughts here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's the pinup, but it's basically a pinup of a panel from last issue.
Yeah, if you recall, there was that Perlin transformation that we were both really into when Jack slams his hands down on the desk as he starts to turn. And so that whole long panel of the 4 iterations from man into beast is reproduced here in a landscape panel with the words, I hope you make a change for the best, all written on it in red block print. So this is the one that I always wanted to make into a shirt. And now that you have a digital version of it, this is very doable. It's very doable. I wish we could get away with doing this as a kickoff for Patreon people, but I don't think Marvel would appreciate that. I don't think Don Perlin would appreciate that. Probably not, and that's okay. And Walt Disney wouldn't appreciate that either. Oh, yeah. He's involved now. Yes, he is. That doesn't mean we can't make our own. As long as we don't wear them to Disneyland. Yeah. So, yeah, this was when I first bought all these issues and started doing this binding project and stuff. I flipped out when I saw this. And this was like back in the days when like you had to like go to a color printer and, get that shitty iron-on, those printer iron-on sheets. Remember those? Oh, yeah. And they like degraded in like 3 months, 3 washes, something like that. Yeah, three washes or so, and they started to flake and disintegrate off for sure. I'm sure the technology is better now. I bet I could get a shirt made of this for $30-$40 that would last years. Yeah. Maybe if we make 2, it'd be $25 or $30. I'll go in it with you. Okay. Interesting. All right. So what else? Oh, there's no letters page, but I thought I would read this item from the bullpen bulletin that explains what the plan was at this moment in time with the giant size issues, and clearly doesn't come to be because we're going to start reading giant size issues and I did not follow that publishing plan at all. Is that cool? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Item. Our second magnificent new 35-cent mag has a title nearly as mind-boggling as the first. It's Giant Size Chillers, and it debuts March 12th, starring, who else, the one and only Dracula himself. But this sinister series is called The Curse of Dracula, and it'll be a wee bit different from the Lord of the Vampires' other Marvel misadventures, for it'll deal mainly with those whose lives are touched by our bloodthirsty count in some way, beginning with Dracula's very own daughter, as depicted on the self-same page. And there's a picture of Lilith standing next to Dracula. Don't worry, though, our Transylvanian terror will appear prominently in each and every one of these tales. And since our new monthly Chillers mag has the same format as Superstars, Drax's new Fear Fest will alternate with those of two other baneful new delights in the Marvel firmament, Werewolf by Night and the Macabre Man-Thing, all in giant-sized super chillers. Hope that's all clear, Flamekeeper, because as of right now, you're on your own. So that didn't hold.
No.
What was the book that became giant-sized Werewolf by Night by issue 2? What was its original?
It was giant-sized creatures?
Creatures, you're right.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. So giant-sized creatures came out and had Tigra the Werewoman and Werewolf by Night. And then by its second issue, I think that was meant to be a rotational book. Obviously, but you wouldn't put Tigra in there and call it giant-sized creatures if you didn't intend that. But then by its second issue, they decided, fuck it, let's just make it a giant-sized Werewolf by Night. So I'm not sure what happened to giant-sized Chillers. Did that just become giant-sized Tomb of Dracula?
Well, no, giant-sized Chillers itself was released, right?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was one that changed title mid-publication to something else.
Well, giant-sized Chillers came out in June of 74.
So 2 months late.
Yeah, so 2 months late. Well, yeah, well, cover date of June.
Oh, never mind.
So actually, yeah, it came out on time. And yeah, from that, I think it's just giant-sized Dracula after that. But no, Chillers did come out.
How long did it run, though?
I just think that one issue to where it was called Giant-Sized Chillers. And then, yeah, it kind of switched to another title, I think.
We don't need to go down this path quite yet in our journey here, but this is the first point where I would say this is where things started to go awry, in my opinion, in handling these properties. I think if they had followed that original plan and had a main story, I love the idea, by the way, of what whoever pitched that was like, let's do a book that's just about the fallout from Dracula's actions and behavior. I love that stuff. Like, you know, I'm a huge fan of The Shadow. There are Shadow stories, the pulp magazines, like they're novel-length stories that are just from the perspective of one of his agents. And so the Shadow barely even will play a role in it. Like, he'll receive a letter from Burbank, which is the Shadow's like communications guy, telling this agent to go do this stuff. And the whole thing is this story with this agent, like infiltrating this crime cult and doing all this stuff. Like, and the Shadow barely shows up, or the Shadow shows up at the end and like saves him. You know, like he gets in over his head at the very, very climax, and the Shadow shows up and he just blows a bunch of people away with his two pistols and then disappears. And the agent's like, holy shit, thank God he showed up. But I mean, like, and I guess people told me that I think Ennis did that with the Punisher, where there were some stories in the Punisher where he wasn't even barely in it. It was just about people in the Punisher's life, and they were really good arcs. I love that idea. I guess what I'm saying is I think it's got a lot of narrative gas. It sounds to me like they said, like the idea of like having that be a main story and the anchor, and then there's backups, I think. I'm not sure how you read what I read, but like, or how you parse it, but like it sounded to me like every issue would be, it said Dracula will be in every issue.
Mm-hmm.
So then like the other backup stories of this giant sized comic would have Werewolf by Night or Man-Thing or The Living Mummy or something. Like it would be a rotating thing with a fixed main story. That could have worked. But what they ended up doing was giving people too many titles. Like I think that once giant size creatures becomes giant size Werewolf by Night, I mean, I've made no I'm pretty open about the fact I hate giant size issues. I think they're filler. They rarely, like, it's like Marvel Team Up, but like three issues length Marvel Team Up, where it's like none of this matters. None of this has any impact on what's happening in the main book. It's all disposable, like non-canon. Like, I don't want to be a geek like that, but it's like you can tell it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter in a way that leads to weak writing and sometimes rushed art.
I think all the stories in the giant size issues seem rushed, or they seem like they got pulled out of a drawer, to where it's just like, you know, stories that, that doesn't quite cut the mustard, so we'll just put it in the inventory drawer, and then like, oh, hallelujah, now we have giant sized issues, so let's throw some of the crap that didn't work as backup features, or just reprints. I think they did too.
Yeah. And so that's, and reprints, right? Exactly. So, for me, I think that's when you and I can start talking about our real motive for doing this podcast, which is to be anti-capitalist. I think that the bottom line is that these guys sold some comics and got greedy and said we can sell more for a little more money, and we can pull out some stuff from the Atlas Age. We can have somebody rush something twice as fast, have some dingbat write this thing, an intern write this, or pull out this inventory story out of a drawer, like you said, that didn't pass muster. And I think that that's what causes the balloon to burst, in my opinion. Ultimately, it didn't happen immediately. Obviously, it's just this thing was going to burst anyway. I mean, it was a kind of a fad, Yeah. So I mean, it couldn't go forever. But I mean, the fact that Tomb of Dracula almost 70 some issues with ancillary series, and Werewolf by Night went for 43 issues with giant size thing. It's remarkable. It's too bad they couldn't hold on to it and like keep kind of changing and evolving with like the sophisticated storytelling that was starting to come out of other places, other publishers, and evolve with that and do something interesting. The same way that Alan Moore took Swamp Thing and changed the language of comics and what comics mean and what comics can do. It's too bad they couldn't do something like that with Man-Thing and Werewolf by Night and keep these things going instead of them just kind of becoming like a 70s weirdo one-off thing.
Well, I mean, I don't want to make blanket judgments, but it seemed like Marvel at this point was kind of losing their way a little bit. Like I feel like especially what Alan Moore did with Swamp Thing was an absolute reaction to where comics were at. Like, they were getting stale again. They were getting kind of boring and not too bright. And I just, and then of course there's exceptions to all of that, but I see Marvel's mid to late 70s period as kind of lesser quality,
kind of fallow
for the most part. Yeah. It just, they seem to, like you say, either underestimate their audience, which they sometimes do, and sometimes they're just like, oh, they're just fucking kids buying the book. It doesn't matter. Let's just put shit in there, and they're still going to buy it. And then they're like, oh shit, so no one's buying this. So, it goes to that thing of Marvel never quite knowing who their audience is.
Right. Instead of like, giving it to the 19-year-old kid who wrote in impassioned letters, let's just cut it.
Yeah.
Like that whole, it is a business.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is.
It's that weird line, right, where it's like this is art and it's business, and it's the same way the music industry is, and it's a very frustrating meeting. It
is, and I don't, like I collect square-bound comics from the 70s, and I really love the DC 100-page super spectaculars. And I don't know why. I mean, it's not like the formula was any better over at DC. Like they would have one lead story that was new, and then the rest would be reprints. But the reprints were curated with so much love because they were mostly done by E. Nelson Bridwell, who was really, really famous as an editor over there, and he had encyclopedic knowledge of DC history. So he would put these theme issues together to where they wouldn't even come out and say like, oh, this is the theme of the issue, but it would be like magic or something, and all these different stories that he would pull from the Golden and the Silver Age, to where I just felt like those books were curated with a lot more love than the Marvel giant size, which just seems they just threw a bunch of shit together to make a buck.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, it's all about the curation.
Yeah. Well, we made it almost halfway through the run of the show without revealing the dark underbelly, the worms and maggots and beetles under the shiny surface. But this is like the first sign of that to me. It was like, I don't know.
No, it is. And like you say, we're pretty positive on the show. We're not going to take giant shits on every issue from here on out of Werewolf by Night. Obviously, we're probably realizing we're not in the golden era anymore. We're at the very end of that era for Werewolf by Night. But I still think there's a lot of good things that happen with this title, and with Tomb of Dracula too. They were pretty consistent. Yeah. Maybe not. Tomb of Dracula maybe wasn't so great the last 20 issues or so. That's where I fall off normally. I can never get through the whole run.
I don't think I've read the entire run. I think I stopped after Omnibus 2, which is basically what you're saying. let's do some multimedia stuff. What have you been reading?
Well, I've been going through, like I said last week, I'm slowly going through my War is Hell bind. And I realized there are 2 issues of that series that are drawn by Don Perlin, which I thought was pretty cool. Issues 11 and 12.
So Don Perlin, huh?
Yeah, he does a great job. It's really cool. Yeah, there's a bit of a rotating cast of artists, but I like the Don Perlin issues a lot. I'm also going through your bind of Hex. So I've met Stiletta. And now she's awesome. And now choppers from Vietnam are being teleported to the future wasteland around Seattle. So it's bonkers.
I love that book so much. I have to tell you, though, that I think it's only 18 issues. It was the first book that I ever sent off a subscription for. And I want you to brace yourself for the last few issues because Mark Texiera does the art for most of it. And I love his stuff.
Yeah.
I think Fleischer writes most of it as well. But it gets to a point at the end, I think maybe the last 3 issues, where Keith Giffen steps in. I think he might write it as well, but he definitely draws it. And it's the Keith Giffen type of stuff that's really abstract, to where I was so frustrated reading I got a notice from DC saying this book that you just subscribed to is canceled. So please pick another title. And so that was upsetting. And then trying to piece together like the last 2 issues, like turning the issue like 90 degrees and like, is it an eyeball? What the fuck is that? I know what this is. What's fucking happening? Like, I was so pissed. I was furious. I hated him for like years after that because of the way that ends. So it was a very frustrating ending.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious now. It's funny. I think it's in the first or second issue. There's a little like editorial in the back about Mike Fleischer like giving his pitch for the series. And he's saying that the powers that be were just like, what? Like, because he'd been writing, Jonah Hex for how long?
12 years?
Fucking years. Like, he's a co-creator. Like,
yeah.
And that was the thing that I thought was so funny. When I first heard about this future Jonah Hex run, I thought it just sounded bananas. And I had only heard kind of poor things about it until I talked to you about it. I just heard that it was pretty reviled. And that people were just like, what the fuck? Jonah Hex is in the future in like this nuclear waste sites outside of Seattle. And it's totally bananas. But you're right. It's the kind of bananas that I like. I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah, I loved it. And I think people just wrote it off as like a way to capitalize on Mad Max and the kind of popularity in the mid 80s of that dystopian future stuff. But it's such a good fit for the character. Like, I can completely see why Fleischer dreamt it up. Like, he fits so well in that world. So, like, folks, if you've never like heard of this series, Jonah Hex is this basically Eastwood type, man with no name type of character that had a huge run for a decade plus in his own title and another title where he was launched from. And he got thrown into this kind of Mad Max future dystopian world where everything's irradiated and money is replaced by these tablets that you have to use to put in your water before you can drink it so you don't get radiation poisoning. It's like that kind of a awfulness. And I thought it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I'm glad you're digging it. And Stiletto is my girl though, so don't get any designs on her.
Will do.
It's one of my early comic book crushes. I think I mentioned last week that I had checked out through Hoopla That Texas Blood by Condon, and I forgot what the artist was, but I read that. Read the whole trade. It's from Image Comics. I felt like I wasn't reading it right. So like one night it'd be like 1 a.m. and I'd be super baked and I would read it for a while. And then the next day I'd be like, well, I wasn't connecting with that, or I don't remember it very well, probably because I was stoned and I was tired. So I'll read it sober today after brunch. Tried that. Tried reading it before bed. Tried reading it in the late afternoon. basically reread entire issues of this thing. I read all 5 issues. I couldn't stand it. I was very bummed. On its surface, it's this kind of story that you would expect from Brubaker in Criminal. Maybe like early Coen Brothers. It has kind of a Blood Simple vibe to it. And it seems really cool. Premise is basically, it starts off with this very No Country for Old Men sheriff who is a narrator named Joe Bob in this small Texas, town. And you follow him around, you get to know the town. There's a dead body. The dead body's brother shows up, and he's a writer from L.A. There's a lot of bad blood between the town and him and his dead brother. And it's all about the fallout of this guy coming back to town and kind of trying to straighten out what happened to his brother and make things right in his own eyes. And it just, like all these things on paper completely work for me. And the way it was executed as a story did not work at all. Like I had to reread chunks of it again the next day, regardless of what state I was in reading it. And it just didn't land. It feels like it's done. I hope it's done. Honestly, like I really felt it was stuff that I should like. And when I got done with it, digitally, the back cover is the last thing you see in the digital version. And there was these pull quotes from what's his name? Lark, the guy who did art for Daredevil, I think, or Michael Lark.
Yeah, Michael Lark. Yeah. And
Sean Phillips and Colin Bunn, I think, and maybe even Brubaker, all just saying these just effusive, superlative, this is the best comic that's been out in the last year. This is the greatest fucking thing I've read in the last decade. Blah, blah, blah. I was just like, what the fuck am I not getting? Because I read Pulp last week, and it blew my fucking head off. I fucking loved it. I thought it was amazing. And the people that made that are saying this is what's good. And I fucking could barely get through it. So I don't know. Hard, right?
Yeah.
So now I want you to read it.
Okay.
So you need to get your Multnomah County Library card sorted out so you can do Hoopla.
I know. I need to do that. It would help for us to read the same new stuff, at least, because you tell me a lot of different stuff that you're reading on there, and a lot of it, sounds pretty good. I'd like to check out, but I can't buy everything.
Yeah, buy Pulp though.
Oh, I'm definitely going to buy Pulp.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to pick that up next time I go into a shop.
I can say that with complete confidence.
So, have you watched anything good?
The only thing good that we have watched is our friend Amy Carroll, a friend of my wife and me, told me to check out this show that was produced for YouTube when YouTube did that brief paid platform thing that was called YouTube Originals. And that was where Cobra Kai came from. And it didn't last very long. But this series went from there to Prime. So if you have Prime, you can watch it for free. And it's called Wayne. And it's 10 episodes. And it is fucking amazing. We are absolutely in love with it and the characters in it. It's set in Brockton, Massachusetts. It's about this kid and these kids in this white trash, just poor, just devastated kind of environment. And it's super funny, super sweet and endearing. It's like this road movie about this kid going to get his right from his father. And so you get, all the love. I love road movies. I'm sure you do too. It's a great genre. But, with this kind of Boston streetwise punk poor kid kind of a attitude and sensibility. And it's funny and it's endearing and it's heartbreaking and it's brilliant so far. So we're 8 episodes in. We're trying to hold off on burning through the last 2 episodes because we don't want to say goodbye to these characters that I'm sure we won't see again.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, you were telling me about that earlier in the week, and it's definitely on my watch list. It's at the top.
Yeah, and I recommend everybody check it out. And I can guarantee you, if it's one of those things, if a lot of shows have to get their legs and they need a few episodes, this is not that show. This show is fully realized from its outset. And if you don't like what you see in episode 1, which I don't think anybody with half a brain would dislike, you won't like any of it. But I guarantee you, by the other side, the obverse of that coin, I think everyone's going to love it by the end of the first episode. We did. So yeah, that's it. Wayne was great.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check that out. We've been stuck in a 70s NBC mystery movie of the week rut lately, we've been watching a lot of Macmillan and Wife and Banachek and the Snoop Sisters.
Snoop Sisters, that's right.
Yeah, so we rewatched the one Snoop Sisters that I really want you to see has Vincent Price in it. Well, there's one that's a great Satanist one that has like Alice Cooper and all this insane shit. But there's another episode that has Vincent Price, and it's also kind of starts off with like a bit of a tribute to the Universal monster movies. Everyone's going to this film premiere and they're all dressing up in costumes, of the Universal monsters. And the actor that plays the Big Lebowski, the actual Big Lebowski, is dressed as as Lon Chaney's Wolfman.
Oh, really?
So I thought, I was like, oh, okay, this is a nice little tie-in.
Huh.
But the Snoop Sisters is great. It's they're all on YouTube, and it's basically these two elderly women who are sisters. One of them is a mystery writer, so it's kind of like a proto Murder, She Wrote almost. But they live in like this really nice place in New York, and they're very fancy older ladies, and their superpower is how they go and like solve these mysteries is they just walk in wherever they want to. And their superpower is that they're little old ladies. And so people just let them do whatever. And if they actually get called out on some shit, they're just like, I don't know where I am. What's going on?
Sounds like Abe Simpson.
It's so awesome. So yeah, we've been watching that, and
so that's on Prime.
No, Snoop Sisters is on YouTube. All the episodes are on YouTube. We have it on a DVD that came with the Macmillan and Wife box set that Alicia bought me a few Christmases back, which I really love. Macmillan and Wife is Rock Hudson and Susan St. James, and it is ridiculous.
I've never seen that.
All that shit is so ridiculous, but it's just brilliant.
No, I need to check that out. YouTube helps. What was on Prime that you were saying you could watch through the IMDb channel that has ads in it?
Oh, you can watch Banachek and McCloud.
Oh,
McCloud is
Banachek.
McCloud is with Dennis Weaver, and oh my god, yeah, McCloud is really, really entertaining. Dennis Weaver plays this like U.S. Marshal from Taos, New Mexico. That's on a work share program in like Manhattan. So he's there, and he's in New York for a lot of it, but then on a lot of the episodes he just ends up like going to Paris to track down some heroin dealers, and no matter where he's at, he finds a horse to ride down the main street of whatever city he's in. And he also acts like he has total jurisdiction no matter what country he's in. He's just going in with guns, like arresting people. I'm like, you're in Turkey, dude. I don't think your U.S. Marshal badge is going to do anything.
Dude, that sounds like some cop that Homer Simpson would like on TV, or like F is for Family. Have you watched that?
Yeah.
Whatever that cop is that Bill Burr's character's obsessed with.
Yeah, it's so funny. Isn't that, well, don't they do don't the Simpsons in the early episodes, they watch that show McGarnacle?
Yeah, McGarnacle.
Even though I think that's supposed to be more of a Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
Dirty Harry type of deal, yeah.
But no, and then Banachek is with George Peppard, and he plays this very hirsute gentleman who's just kind of an art dealer, and basically he is an insurance investigator who just goes and tries to solve these crimes so he can get the 10% finder's fee on stuff. And the funny thing about Banachek is, all these shows end up with like, you get the big explanation at the end, a lot of exposition and talking about how things are solved. And with Banachek, he just goes on forever. Like it's that whole like Nick and Nora, get everyone in one room and then I kind of tell them all what happened. And his just go on forever. And they're so convoluted. It almost just seems like a joke after a while.
Oh, God.
But yeah, he's the sleaziest of the NBC mystery detectives for sure.
But he had awesome sunglasses, right?
Oh yeah, well he looks great. He's in a turtleneck. He's in like a white turtleneck for most of it. But he's great.
Well, that's Peppard.
Yeah, it is Peppard.
I do love Peppard.
So yeah, we thought that for next issue, since it takes place in Hollywood, has to do with vampires, that we would bring back in Brad Elmore to be our guest for next episode. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, we're going to Mallet Studios for some vampire filmmaking action. So our resident filmmaker has to be on the episode, of course. So yeah, Brad Elmore will be here, and join us next week to check that out. It's called Vampires on the Moon or something.
Yeah. Very misleading cover. I saw that cover and I was like, what the hell? And then, yeah,
that's
it's a film set.
That's a study in misleading comic covers, really.
Oh, that's one of the worst. It's one of the worst offenders for that. It makes a lot of promises that it does not keep.
It does. Yeah. Listeners, thank you for following along this issue with us. We'll be back next week with Brad Elmore to talk about that issue. Don't forget to write us or send us your comments or questions or queries or requests to werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. All right, Jacob, good to talk to you this week.
Good to talk to you. This was fun.
Till we meet again, neath the full moon, furry ones. Here's how on at ya.